Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome back to another episode of the Band of Barbers podcast. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let me be the first to say Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everyone. I hope you enjoyed your day. Um, Parents, I hope that you saw the smiles on kids' faces today and you got something nice for yourself and everything like that. I hope I hope you guys are preparing and taking some time off, uh, and really just relaxing and enjoying this special time with your family. If you went out of town, please enjoy it because when you go back, it's back to the grind. Um, I just want to say, guys, as we come out of this Christmas holiday and we head into New Year's Eve, we're gonna get that last burst before the end of the year. Uh, it'll be good. We need it. We need it. That last little burst for the end before the end of the year. It'll be great. Um, and it'll be good to see the clients and see the happy smiling faces and the new Christmas outfits and all those sorts of things, and hear from the kids about what they got and their excitement and all of those things. This time of year is really a good time, right? It's really a good time to spend time and reflect with and spend time with your family and everything like that. But it's also good to take some time and reflect and look back at the previous year. What is going on in this last year as we're coming to an end. You know, hey, we got to prepare for tax time, right? If you haven't been doing what you need to do and filing quarterly, you've now got to go back and find all your information and prepare all that information and get ready for taxes. Tax time is upon us, and you need to keep that in mind and prepare for that, right? Don't be a bad business barber, right? Don't be a bad business barber. Okay. um and so as we look and prepare, like I said, we got to get ready for tax time. Yes, we have another busy time coming up, and this is some of the things, and we need to get our goals. We need to get our goals set and ready for the following year, for the upcoming year. um like I've said before, like how much money do you want to make next year, right? And here's a real question: do you even know how much money you made this year? Right? That's a big deal. Do you know how much money you made this year? I dare to say a lot of barbers don't. They don't know how much money they made this year, right? They might know how much money they took in credit cards, but a lot of them live out their pocket. They don't know how much money they made, and so they're doing a disservice to themselves to be able to advance financially by the not knowing their income, not properly knowing and annotating. And this is not about, oh, I well we you're gonna have to pay taxes. No, 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 no. First of all, as long as you are in you know the United States of America, you're gonna have to pay taxes. So that's not what I'm talking about. You have to understand that as a business owner, you really control how much in taxes that you pay. Now, if you made $100,000 last year, or and you spent $100,000, and you spent, let's say, out of your $100,000 that you made, you only spent 2,500 on your business. So you think therein lies a problem. You're like, you have to understand what you can spend on to decrease your tax liability. These are those things. Working on the business, not in the business, right? And if you're not going to be willing to do that, then you need to go hire a professional who will. The only thing you then are liable for, or responsible for most, financial services, is keeping track of your spending. You have to keep track of your spending. You have to know, what it is. Get your receipts and track your travel and all that. Like, you have to keep that. That would be, probably your only responsibility if you had a real financial person, right? And guys, can we stop? Like, this is what I need you to understand. Stop going to for these tax people. Stop going to people who you may have used at some point or another in your life, trying to get I'm trying to get all the money back I can get back. Learn the game. Get with somebody that knows the game, that can teach you something. That can teach you, like, hey, you can buy this, and this, and pay it off, and write it off in taxes. Right? Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand what it is that we're doing. You got into this industry to control your schedule, be seen as a professional, and control your destiny and your future. So if you're going to control it, you need to know what to do when in control. So take some time, sit down and learn, figure out what you need to figure out as far as what you need to do to prepare for your taxes. Tax season is coming. It's on. It's upon us, right? And for a lot of people, a lot of financial services professionals will honestly tell you, if they're really, really good at it, you actually should have started planning in October. Fourth quarter of the year started in October, right? 4 seasons, 4 quarters. Yeah, you know the 4 seasons. You may not know the 4 quarters, but they line up just about the same, right? So your fourth quarter, October, your fourth quarter, you should be preparing. You should have been preparing. And this is not a negative thing. This is information. This is things that you go and say, hey man, I was listening to this podcast and a guy was telling me that I need to start preparing for my taxes in I need to start preparing for my taxes in October. Most of them will probably say, yeah, you're right. Why? Because let's say just for informational purposes, let's say you have a $20,000 tax bill, okay? And you go to your accountant and he says, "Hey man, you got this $20,000 tax bill." And you're like, "I don't want to pay $20,000 in taxes." And he says, "Okay, well, what are we going to do?" He's probably going to, he or she is probably going to tell you that you need to make some major purchases. What are some major purchases that you can make to help take down your tax bill? Uh, Tools and equipment. That's one, right? Tools and equipment. You got that raggedy chair that you got, and you were going to wait until next year. Hey, go ahead and drop $1,500 to $2,000 on a nice chair. Now you're sitting at 18,000, right? Oh well, I was really thinking about taking. I was really thinking about buying this course. Right, courses are big right now. Oh, how much is it? $500. Oh, now your tax liability is 17. Now your tax bill is 17,500. Like that's how it works. That's what's going on. Do you want to, I'm thinking about getting a new car, but I'm gonna wait till next year because I don't really know. Well, what type of car are you gonna buy? Oh, I'm gonna just buy like just a little small car. Well, if you buy a car over 6,000 pounds, you can write off the entire vehicle. Little known fact that a lot of people don't know that you see all these celebrities and you're like, oh man, they went and bought this, they went and bought this the G Wagon, right? G Wagon is specifically made to be over 6,000 pounds so that businesses, which celebrities are, their businesses, and they go and do that. So, right, I'm gonna go get this G Wagon, and for them, their tax bills may be way bigger. $200,000. Well, I'm gonna get this G Wagon. I want it fully loaded. How much is it? $200,000. Bam. Now, guess what? They don't have a $200,000 tax liability. Like these are the ways that the game is played. And you have to understand the rules. Let me be clear. You have to understand the rules. You need to have a basic understanding of the rules. Right? And there's a few people on social media and unfortunately right now both of their names escape me. Actually all three of their names escape me. But if you guys want to know who they are, they will give you the information. They will tell you the very information that I'm talking about as far as some of the accounting, some of the business stuff. Like they will tell you all of that information, right? And and I will say this, guys. Just understand, like I'm not that smart of a guy. I'm just a researcher. And so when I research and I find these rules and some may call them loopholes, but it's not a loophole if it's a rule. They're like a loophole and a rule cannot exist in the same space. It just doesn't make sense. If it's a rule, how is it a loophole? Right? It's just if it's a rule, how is it a loophole? It's in there in black and white. Because most people don't read it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist for the common person. It doesn't exist for for the employee of someone else. It doesn't exist in those spaces. It does exist for us as business owners, right? If you've done the things to be legally established, you filed with the federal government, you got your EIN number, you filed with your state, you're a legal LLC, or whatever designation that you choose, whatever one that you choose, these rules do apply to us. So a lot of people that tell you that this is illegal, this isn't a thing, this shouldn't be a thing, blah, 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 so on and so forth. They're telling you that because that's how they feel, because they're playing the game by their rules and you're playing it by another set of rules, and they feel like that's not fair. Well, I'm going to say this, and I've been seeing this float around a lot lately. Saying that that's not fair is just like this whole post that's going around that people are saying like, oh, it must be nice to have VA benefits. And the response is the recruiter's office was open to everybody. It's in the same light. People are upset because people are playing rules that apply to their game. If you're not even playing the same game, you don't have a right to be upset. You don't have a right to be upset. Also, if you're playing the game and you don't know the rules, you don't have a right to be upset. Learn the daggone rules. Learn the rules. If I gave you a test right now and I gave you a study guide for the test and you failed the test, that's on you. It's the same principle. The information is there, but you didn't feel that the information had any value to you. So therefore, because you felt that the information had no value, you didn't do anything with it. But someone who came in and said, "Oh, I want to see how I can win with this. Oh, I want to see how I can do this and how I can do that and this and that and the third." And then they said, "Okay, well, there's this book. I think that if I'm not mistaken, like the tax code is something like 10,000 pages or something like that. It's probably more than that, but it's a pretty long document." Now, the average employee, you get what I'm saying? Hear me out. The average employee complains about, oh, this, that, and that's not fair, so on and so forth. Have you ever read this 10,000 page document? That's constantly updating and constantly changing. And there's different things. Like you hear these bullet points on the news of like, this isn't fair and that isn't fair and this and that and this and that. Like, listen, if you're trying to be a barber, do you really have that much time to spend reading this 10,000 page document? Would it probably benefit you? Absolutely. But do you really have the time do you really personally have the time to do it? Well, the question is what are you trying to do in business? If you're trying to build an empire, you can read it. It may be beneficial to you. In any sense, you can read portions of it, understand it, look up some good laws and information on a tax, or look up some good information in the tax code that may benefit you. It may be that may be a good thing for you, right? But the question is can you sacrifice that much time away from what you're actually doing as far as your business is concerned, of being a barber or running shops and doing those types of things? 9 times out of 10, the question is probably no. The answer is probably no. The answer to the question is probably no. So what do we say? Go find get a basic understanding and knowledge of it. Get some key talking points and everything like that, and go find a person who has devoted themselves to learning and understanding this tax code. And I'm just gonna say this. I mean this in the nicest way. Uh, Jenny from around the corner that does taxes in her spare bedroom in her house, and she only does that for a couple months out of the year and everything like that, probably is not the go-to person to get the information as far as a business is concerned. While Jenny may be a business and filing taxes and doing those sorts of things, if I got an office in my corner bedroom, do I really take what I'm doing seriously? I'm not saying I'm not saying that you can't have an office. What I'm saying is like if that's where my main place of doing business is, out of my spare bedroom in my house, right? Is it? Do you really think we're in the best place? Do you really think you're in the best place, in the best situation? Is the track record really proving? Can they tell you about, all the clients they work with and what's going on and what type of accounts they have, and can they tell you about that stuff? I mean, that's really a question. Because you may find a hidden gem of somebody who maybe was an accountant and on the side they do taxes, but they don't do it through their firm. They do it through. You may find a hidden gem, but any secret tax person that I know about, or backdoor tax person that I know about, man, I've seen that. Like, I've seen a lot of shady stuff go on with them, taking people's money for multiple years and never actually filing the taxes. Seen that happen. Seen it happen. They tell you that they're a guru and everything like that, and you go get a second opinion, and the accountant does everything but laugh at you and say, "Who prepared this?" Seen that happen, right? Seen people almost, uh, I've seen people get fined and almost lose their businesses because of faulty mistakes, trying to be cheap, right? How would I pay so and so $600 when my friend has been doing it? They can do it for, they'll do it for 150, or they'll do it for 100 or 75. When is cheap? When is cheap a bit? When has cheap ever been connected with value? When has cheap ever been connected with value? I mean, we talk about this in the barbershop, in the in the barbering world, as far as just like we talk about that. When has, like, being the cheapest around does not benefit you? Not saying go be the most expensive, but if you are, if you have a cheap price, right? Typically I've seen it. Barbers specifically have a cheap price in the shop, and before they know it, they built up all this clientele because they're price conscious, and the reason that they're price conscious is because that's the energy that the barber gives off. Their clientele is somewhat of a recurring reflection of themselves, of them as the individual barber. In all aspects, no, but somewhere in the mentality, yes. They're a reflection. I'm not talking about walk-ins. I'm talking about continual clients, people who book often with you. You know, but either way, guys, look, it's today is Christmas, the 25th of 2023, December. Today is Christmas, and I know I gave you a lot, and a lot of you probably won't hear this till after Christmas, but just know, like, yeah, we still at it. I gave you an episode on Christmas, and I gave you an episode with full heart and intention because I do care about my audience and what they are taking in this industry, right? This industry is growing rapidly, faster. We've got we've got this new wave of barbers who know nothing about any type of wall or Wall, Oster, or Andis clippers. They wouldn't be caught dead with those type of clippers on it. Like that's what we have right now. The industry has changed, so you do too. You have to grow. You have to maneuver. You have to change what these like. There is a wide array of things that are going on in this industry, and don't be that person that's stick in the mud that does not move because you so badly enjoy the mud. Oh, I'm not going to do this because, oh, I'm not going to do this because, oh, I'm not going to do this because, and any and every excuse, you know, you know, keep keep those don't come with those excuses. Wise man once told me any excuse will do. If you don't want to do something, but we're leaving that stuff behind us. We're ramping up to roll into a brand new year, um, and let's just make it the best that it can be. Let's just make it the best that it can be. All right. Again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been another episode of the Band of Barbers podcast. I am your host, Devon Evans, and thank you again. Hope you guys have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.